All right, we'll go ahead and call the FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. First order of business, we need to approve the agenda, which you have in front of you. So,
Second.
motion from Mike, second from David to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Next would be to approve the minutes from the April 28th meeting, which was via conference, and those minutes are on starting page 1, or actually page 1 of your packet. So.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, second from Nancy to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes are approved. Is there any old business? Hearing none, move on to new business. First, item A, general manager report, turn over to Rob Sobel.
All right. Page 3 of your packet is the financials. This will be for April, so the left-hand side is April. The right-hand side is year-to-date. So we'll start with the month. Total event income of a negative $2,800. So you can see there, other income of $133,000 in indirect or expenses of $268,000 compared to a budget of $313,500, or about $45,000 below budget. So that means for the month of April, we didn't have any events. We had a net deficit of $137,000 or $137,500. However, that's $17,000 to $18,000 above our budgeted deficit of $155,000. Now, some of you may ask, how does that happen? But since Share and Mercy Me were both scheduled for April, but they postponed it later in the year to get the accurate of it, Susan moved those two events out of the April budget, put them into the months that they're currently scheduled for, whether it be September or November, so they'll show up at that time to come through. So then based on what was actually scheduled, which would have been an NDSU spring game and the beautiful theater show in the City Bank Theater, that's what the event income is based off of on that. So as I said, with NDSU, the spring game was canceled, but obviously we typically have a loss in the spring game because of attendance, but with the conversion of posting expenses not happening, actually a little bit of savings there. Then on the Gate City Bank Theater, production of Beautiful, the 19 reflects the 50% of the net operating expense of that. Meeting rooms, again, obviously a loss and stuff. Other income, below budget, $9,000 in ticket sales. Obviously, we're not really selling many tickets right now. Share is still in the postponement or refund window here for a little bit, and we're waiting on word for Elton John and Maroon 5. Interest, obviously we have higher balances, so we're able to get the interest on that better than budgeted. So it ends up not as terrible on the other income. On the expense side, about $45,000 below budget. $5,600 is the one full-time position that we've delayed the hiring on. Obviously no overtime for full-time, and then the non-event part-time labor, which is pretty minimal to begin with, but obviously that's been greatly reduced due to the lack of events. Operations about $33,700, mainly due to steam heating or steam usage and electricity. I've been watching that real close, obviously with no events as well. The Excel bill and the steam billing were both about half of what a typical April is for that. So we're starting to kind of get a little bit of an idea of what going forward, depending upon the months we don't have events, what our big number of operating, which is the electricity and the steam heating or steam usage. Now April is kind of a tweener month, so we're not really using a lot of heat. We obviously weren't using air. So May we'll have another judgment some air in the offices in certain areas where we still have to kind of keep a bit of a comfortable environment for those of us who are still here. And the management fee on the incentives, $4,200 below budget, obviously, based on not having the events and sales. That was moved out. So year to date, if you remember the March events, or from the end of March, that hasn't changed as far as the actual events, 29 events, 93,000 people. Total event income, just about $788,000 compared to a budget of $1,003,000. Expenses of $1,280,000, or about $140,000 below the budgeted $1,420,000. So we're still through April at a surplus of about just about $91,000, but that is below what the budget would call for about $153,000. So we're still there. We're still treading water. That'll flip again in May, obviously, since we don't have any events in May as well. We're doing our best to minimize expenses as much as possible with projects and different things such as that. Any questions on the financials?
I have a quick question. You mentioned May. Did we have a lot of events scheduled for May?
Most of our events in May are typically non-revenue events anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
NDSU commencement, Fargo Marathon, high school graduations were all scheduled for May, and they're typically very low profitability, if you will. So from that standpoint, there won't be a lot of trying to think if I'm missing any off the top of my head, and I don't believe so. So our event income for May is historically quite low as well. The next large disparity in budgeted versus actual on event side will come in June when the Rib Fest is to
So on the balance sheet items, the unearned category, so that entry again, that's just debit to cash, credit to unearned, right? So none of, like the 5.7 million is just all sitting in cash, but the user fee revenue, the ticketing, that's 600 grand there. None of that's hit the income statement yet.
No,
It's
that's all
just-
deferred events.
just
They all sit
cash.
on the balance sheet until it happens. So we always want to make sure we have more cash than we have deferred revenues in the event of
Right.
cancellation or that sort of
Yeah,
thing. So we have
okay.
money to return to the company.
So if anything, if that goes back, it's just cash out the door, nothing
It's a balance sheet
nothing
item.
hits our
Yeah.
income statement. Yeah, okay.
As far as any postponed or canceled conferences.
Yeah, right.
I mean, obviously we lose the compared to budget, but we're not hitting the income
Yeah.
statement. We haven't spent that money. We hold that separate.
Yeah. Okay.
That is one of the talks in the industry now with a couple promoters is we're not that way because the FARGODOME isn't the promoter. But there are a fair amount of promoters out there that historically have used the ticket sales from an event as their operating capital, and as it comes through, so there are potentially some smaller promoters having some liquidity issues right now while they're having to postpone all their events, but they don't have anything coming in from tickets, and they're refunding and different things such as that. So there's some conversations about things wanting to change in the industry, and as we've talked about on the interest side of things, that can be a significant or revenue source that also has it as we hold. So we want to do our best to protect that as much as possible as well.
Right.
Another comment on that is, so typically how it works is with our ticketing company, we settle weekly. So obviously we're usually selling tickets. So from a week of Monday to Sunday, the next Friday, they send us a check. Well, in this case, with what's going on now, we have typically more refunds than we do have sales, since the shows that are still on sale are dates undefined. So now we've been sending them a check. Every week we reconcile what they refund to make sure that agrees with our records, and then we send them a wire.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the April financials as presented in the general manager's report.
Second.
Blake, second from David. Roll call.
Nancy,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Review of current events.
Done. At this, I'll just take the time here just to kind of review what instead of additional items, what we've been doing here as a building and staff. One update, ticketing RFPs are kind of, we had the Ticketmaster interview in person and then all of the struck, so we did a few weeks back, we sent out the notice, and eTix did do a web presentation. We had either Microsoft Teams or you name the online meeting, virtual meeting source. We did one of those, and so there has been Susan in the ticket office and Sarah in marketing have been doing a lot of back work on that, looking through that, and the evaluation is continuing. We hope to have, or we'll have more information soon on that, but also we do have to take into consideration now with some of these 2020 shows that are now likely postponed into 2021. How does that affect all of this? So there's some more figuring and conversations to be worked out with current ticketing and potential ticketing providers, and how all that would interact, and figure out to see if December 31st is the best date, or if there's other times that we may need to do something or try to figure something out. If the crystal ball would have been out, we probably would have tried to cut a year or add a year under this, but we're just kind of, like everybody, reacting as new information is figured out on this. Also, we'll probably, maybe at the July meeting, since the June meeting, which is next meeting, will be the budget presentation. We're finally seeing a draft report for the economic impact study, and so just kind of reviewing and fine tuning that. So maybe at the July meeting, we'll have that, the things that I work on. Other than that, in the admin finance office, Susan and her team have been preparing the 2021 budget and also looking at the 2020 numbers, analyzing the different areas, kind of going through a lot of the expense items, seeing if we can figure out some correlation as far as budget to what is actual, since the event load obviously has changed, and how that'll overall have an effect on that. I know that with the ticket office and finance staff, they've also been scanning a lot of our event files. I think they're back to 2010 now, and so through the Laserfiche system with the city of Fargo, getting all that and clearing up gobs of drawers and file cabinets, we actually might get rid of those other things, getting flipped over to electronic. They've also scanned, I believe it's every capital purchase order back from 1993 till now, so it's all on there. It's kind of things that we have time to do now for some reason. So looking at that, marketing with Sarah and Morgan, they've been organizing things, helping out the other departments. I know Morgan's been taking some graphics classes online. I believe mostly free to just get those skills going. Food and beverage, obviously cleaning and organizing their areas, some things that haven't been able to get to for a long time. They too have been scanning their event files. There's actually, I think, 2 pallet boxes that are out on the arena right now full of event folders that they were able to get through and get cleaned out. And then they're also, obviously, they're on the food side. So they're really kind of working at their reopening plans, what's it going to be, talking to the health department, talking to Spectra and other things as far as what potentially the expectation will be as far as sanitation moving forward as we open up. One of the things Casey's been working at is looking at one of the key words in our industry has become contactless. I'm a realist. You're always going to have contact, but we're going to try to limit that contact as much as possible. So looking at our point of sale system, and we currently don't have contactless payment. Venues are going to it. if you're putting a new one in, that's what you're getting. A lot of entities are starting to go towards that, so we're looking to see what the cost would be. Our current system needs to be upgraded anyway. The hardware is now obsolete, so we can't, we've actually, I think we have about 92 registers, and we can't get new registers, so we kind of set 10 of those registers aside and parted them out to fix the other registers. We've been doing that for the last 6 to 12 months. So we're looking at that. That is an unbudgeted line item that we may look to move up or create a budget line item, maybe some from reallocation, hopefully have some more information on that. At the June meeting, I think it's important to do it not only for the current situation, but even non-techie people like me can think we're pretty cool. We can pay with Apple Pay or Google Pay or something such as that. They claim again that it speeds everything up and increases sales. This market tends to lag behind that because we still have our long lines at the ATMs. But, we'll see on all that. The operations department, they've been doing some major cleaning and organizing of all the storage areas. They actually went through all the red seats. I believe repaired all of them that needed any repairing. We had boxes upon boxes of seat cushions and backs and things that we thought we were out of. Now that we've been able to organize the storage areas and get into them, found we actually have a lot of the things to continue to be able to repair moving forward. But so they've done a great job there, going through all that sort of stuff, trying to figure different things out there, and finishing up projects, but also starting projects that they haven't been able to work on because we really haven't had an off season in 3 years. And that, and looking for other projects that we can keep busy with for the time being. Other than that, continue to meet as groups, just what will the reopening of the building look like when we reopen, whether it's in August or July or September, or we won't talk about further down the road, what the expectations are, how we're going to manage different areas. You've been to events here. It's somewhat easy, maybe if there's a updated or changed manifest to socially distance, if you will, in the arena seating areas, but we're not going to be able to do that in the lobby, and the ingress and egress of people, of the concourses, things such as that. So just working through what that looks like, how to figure it out best, source enough hand sanitizer that people can use hand sanitizer and be comfortable with that. Obviously, you still have the restrooms and the sinks and all that information as well, and any other protective gear that may or may not be required. And then the other big thing, some of you may have heard it, the North Dakota Department of Health decided last week, so the National Guard came in and packed up all of the equipment for the surge facility last Friday morning. And this morning, 3 semis arrived, and an hour and a half had all over onto the semis, and has left the building. So we are now working with AstroTurf to try to figure out when and the best time to fix the current issues we have, but also, honestly, because we're shut down now, we'll get back as quickly as possible. We don't want to go through another shutdown period if we can avoid it next summer. So we are talking to see if it would be feasible and what the cost would be to actually put in a whole new football turf this summer, and get that just taken care of versus a potential repair and what that would look like. Or if we do repair, when do we have to replace the entire surface? So working through those discussions now. Talked to them last Friday, the manufacturer for the underlayment that they're going to use. They had been repurposed to making face masks and face shields and different things such as that, but they have now gone back to regular manufacturing. And so they've got a test piece coming in so that they can test to see all of that as well. Some of you may have seen as well, if you read the legal section, that the suite, or the catering and dressing room project that was discussed a few months back has been bid now, or is in the process of being advertised and is bidding. If you recall it, and I believe it was the January, February meeting, the decision of the authority was to at least bid the project to see what it comes in at and see it there. So we had taken that project to 85–90% of the way. It didn't really seem prudent to shelve it, particularly since it's looking, that it'll be a while for concerts yet, if you read what's in the industry. So we'll see what the bids for that are due back early June, I think June 10th. And so we'll be talking about that at the Finance Building Committee in June, as well as the Authority meeting in June. That would be a project that would need to have requested funding from the surplus and not out of the existing capital budget. More than current events, but any questions on any of that?
Is now a good time to do a project like that due to any savings in terms of low competition for construction and whatever?
Well, I've come to believe that the Fargo construction market is the most expensive in the country. I know that's probably not an accurate statement, but you know, there was some talk about, yes, there are contractors that are hungry out there. I think it just depends on what the client is. Mike would have more insight on that than I probably, since he deals with this on a more regular basis. But we'll see. You know, it's not a huge project, so we're not building a building, so it's maybe a little different type of contractor.
We recently did a couple of small renovations, $1 million, $2 million projects, and found out that the Navy Clinic was not in. In fact, we had one project, we only had a couple of generals bid, and mechanicals, they all bid on premium.
So yeah, we'll see. And if it comes in too high, then we'll have to discuss that in the
Right.
I actually appreciate doing this stuff, it's icky stuff to do. To scan stuff and to get it in digital format, but to have the opportunity and take it, good for you. Good for you, God, I shouldn't be looking at him. Good for you guys. I mean, because really.
That hurts.
It is, yeah, but it's a icky kind of mindless
Absolutely.
job.
It is. And our, you know, all of us here, like, all the departments have said, look, we can do this stuff too, but if the city has other areas that has needs because there's been cutbacks or seasonal work that hasn't been allowed to be hired, or we're here to help. So I think it's been refreshing to be part of a team that recognizes the importance of a team and saying we're here to help and we'll do what it takes. If nothing else, that would end my report.
Any other questions for Rob? Okay, thanks, Rob. Committee reports, there were no building and finance this month. On item 4, nominating committee, it's the time of the year where we turn over new officers. Spoke to Rob earlier today, and since my term as president, I do my term limit. I've asked Nancy and Dan to join me on the nominating committee to select new officers for the upcoming year. So we'll organize after this meeting. Do you need any action on that?
You would need a motion, but you can't make it.
So with that, I would ask for a motion from the group to affirm the nomination of Nancy, Dan, and myself on the nominating committee to elect new officers for the upcoming year.
So move.
Second, David. Motion for David, second for Mike. All those in favor, or is that?
That'll be a roll call.
Roll call.
Nancy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you to Dan and Nancy for serving, and I'm sure we'll be talking to some of you in the near future. All right. Are there any additional items from the group or from management?
Just another general reminder, June, budget approval. So we will, unless circumstances change drastically, my plan right now is to have in-person meetings of both the finance and building committee, as well as the FDA. Those dates tentatively would be set for June 24th, Wednesday, and Tuesday, June 30th. So if you could think about that. Finance building committee, so that'll also be good, that'll be budget, plus it'll be those other bids, so you may want to, if possible, figure in about a 2-hour meeting on both of those. Nothing else, that's all I got.
Do we have anything else?
Is there any concerns from any of you about having the in-person meeting, with having the social distancing, the guidelines have kind of gone up, so just want to make sure I don't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable situation. We can try to do a virtual meeting, but I've been on enough of those that I can pick out the barks of any type, any breed of dog now, or different things such as that. So. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.